general category finalist with Wunderman. Please welcome Marc Sanford from Wunderman Thompson USA. Welcome. Do you need the mic?
Yes.
Okay. I'll just thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here. I'm probably the most dehydrated person that's talking today. You know, the case that I'm going to show you today is a little bit different than some of the other cases that you've seen because the visualization or the creativity element is actually about displaying the data itself back to the people who are using the platform. And so that's what I'm going to walk you through. We worked with Playon TV, and they are a cloud-based DVR or recording service for online streaming content. They came to us with a very common problem. And that problem was, hey, we're growing fast, we're doing a great job at increasing the volume of visitors to our site, but we don't have the insights available to us to actually optimize the site itself. And the other challenge that they had, being a smaller company, was that they had a very small analytics team. So part of our goal with them was to empower the non-technical side of the business to make decisions within minutes instead of hours, weeks, or months. So in order to do this, we really felt like we had to bring together a couple of different elements. One was a new way of collecting data. And in order to do that, we created our own JavaScript tag, basically 6 lines of code that they put on their site. And it allowed us to collect every possible interaction on the page, not just those things that are tagged, which is a huge advantage, right? We got screen resize events, scrolls, clicks on non-clickable content, you name it, we were capturing it. The other thing was that we needed infrastructure to process high volumes of data. So we stood this up within Azure SQL, Azure Web Servers, and we created an automated front end to show the visualizations. We also had to develop a new visualization library. We used some that were publicly available, but we also created some of our own. And then also we brought in a new way of understanding consumers at the moment they arrived on the site, and we married those attributes that we were pulling through from Wunderman data, and we attached that to the individual level behavioral data, all creating some very powerful insights. So what we're generating for Playon is a very high volume of data. When we look at what we're collecting about 46 variables for every event type across 15 different event types. That's about 700 data points for every page that we track. It's over 100,000 event records that we've been tracking for them that we can combine with about 11,000 audience variables coming from Wunderman Thompson data. And then we also automatically screenshot every page on the website to use in this visual interface. And we'll see some of that come through in a minute. So the tool that we put together for them has several proprietary elements. I'm not going to show you every single element, and especially that first one, because it's really just a number. And I didn't think just putting a giant number up on the screen would be the most exciting thing in the world. But what we're doing in that case is using an algorithm to determine how well a site is performing compared to how well we think it could perform under the best circumstances. So as they optimize their content, that score goes up. And we'll actually go through some of these now so that you can see what they actually look like. Now, heat maps aren't the most amazing thing in the world, but I want you to get used to looking at this type of visualization because it's the foundation for some of the other things. And what we're looking at here is the comparison of one time period to the next. So you can see as the content has been changing at the top, you can see the behavior on the entire page, how that is changing. And in typical A/B tests, all you're really looking at is whether or not that particular element is driving interaction on that particular element and not somewhere else on the page. We also do things like form fill analysis for them, where we can tell them exactly where people are starting and falling out in the form. But where this gets really interesting is in something we call content attribution. And our code actually breaks up every page in the site into its constituent kind of content blocks, if you will. And then we layer the actual analysis right on top of that content block. So even those of you in the audience who have never been to Playon TV, you can look at this visualization and make a decision on what to do. And immediately you could see the biggest piece of real estate and the biggest language is doing the least amount to drive conversion. So those numbers are actually showing how each content block is contributing towards conversion. And what we've done is taken a multi-touch attribution model that is typically used in media, and we applied it to content. So a very visual way that a non-technical person could say, I know what to do with this page. I'm going to keep the things that are working, and I'm going to remove the things that are not working. And this is now we're getting towards something that's really interesting, right? This is using the Wunderman Thompson data where we're able to profile individuals as they come to the site. But it gets really interesting when we combine it with the UX analytics itself. So on this slide, these boxes are just telling you where the behaviors are going to change. And what we're looking at is the behaviors of age 18 to 39 versus the behaviors of 40 to 59. And if you're doing just general heat maps of a site, you're essentially designing for everyone, which means you're designing for no one. Using this, we can actually understand how the characteristics of the individuals help impact the content that they're going to interact with. So another segment that's very important for them is travelers versus non-travelers. They have a cloud-based product versus a desktop product. And so you can see if you're a traveler, you're looking for one thing. If you're a non-traveler, you're interacting with completely different content. This is a very powerful intersection of UX analytics and audience segmentation that happens in real time. And what do they do with this information, right? They change their site. They optimize their content, they produce new offers, they change their language, they hyperlink different elements, and the impact on their business has been quite significant. Over the last 5 months, their UX score or their experience score has gone up by 25%. Their conversion rate has gone up by 37%. Time to reduce, in their quote, is time to convert is significantly reduced. And then they've stated that this has become the new platform for them in order to gain insights and actually optimize their site experience. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Right on time. Right on time. Great. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, a few questions about the source of the data. So the heat map data, what tools are you using, and what's the actual, what's the heat? Is that eye movement, or people looking out on the page, right, or is it mouse-based?
It's all mouse-based,
okay.
And we're using C# and our own visualization in order to represent those mouse clicks, attempted clicks, mouse movements, things like that.
Yeah, and to what extent do you feel like the success of the project was the ability to visualize that and with the screenshots versus just displaying, just telling about the insights? Do you feel like in terms of customer adoption and communicating the value, was that, imagine it's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any insights into that?
Yeah, I mean, everything here, especially like with Playon, where they literally have one person doing analytics, and in order to get what you need out of other platforms like Google or Adobe, you have to be fairly well skilled in going in and pulling that information out. So the ability to visualize it in a way that a non-technical person can make that decision is very powerful. And when we introduced Playon to this platform, we onboarded them, I think, on a Thursday or a Friday. And over the weekend, they were making changes to their site in order to increase the conversion rate. So the visualization is the communication of the analytics, which is absolutely critical in this case.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Marc.
Thank you.
Pleasure.